An unwatched child is a tragedy waiting to happen. And that's how Lenore Skenazy, we'll say, opens Free Range Kids and sets the tone for the book that we're going to talk about today. So Free Range Kids is all about how we basically should let our kids do more on their own, how they're way more capable than we're letting them be, than we're trusting them with, and in short, because we're worried about ridiculous things that are never going to happen. That's the closest synopsis. We're worried about stuff like, what if our kid gets snatched? And there's an interesting stat in the book that says you're going to have to leave your kid outside for 750,000 years to make sure they get snatched. That's the actual statistic possibility of it. If you're really worried about things that are, more possible than that, then don't let them walk down the stairs. They should never get in the car with you because that is far more dangerous than letting them play outside on their own. So that's really the tone of the book. I was going to go longer on this, but I think that's all I can say. Like, that is the tone of the book, right? You actually see some of this. She's one of her recommendations is stop news. We see this also in The Death of Expertise, which I have reviewed, and they both basically say news is a quest for eyeballs. It's not news. It's just like, what can we freak you out about? And fear gets you watching more than like good stories do. So that's what they do. Yeah, the big takeaway is you are extremely worried about highly improbable disasters. And you shouldn't really worry about that stuff. You should let your kids do stuff because they're capable. Yeah, that's about it. She has 14 commandments. I don't even have to talk about all of them because they all get summed up in that. You're worried about unlikely disasters. And ultimately, your job as a parent is to help your kid become a good, strong adult. And babying them all the time, letting them do nothing, really. Like, not letting them, adventure on their own or have some responsibility is not teaching them to be a good adult. It's teaching them to be a baby as long as possible. And that actually really relates to a book I've read called iGen, where they talk about basically maturity is happening later. So the thing you're doing at 10, your kid won't do till 12, maybe 14. The thing you're doing at 18, they won't do till 22, which is why we have this, new emerging, what is it called? Early adulthood thing where teenagers are not really adults until they're like 25, 26, because they're just never given any responsibility until that age. It also really goes really well with Kids These Days by Tristan Harris, not Sam Harris, by Tristan Harris, or Tristan Harris? Malcolm Harris. Kids These Days by Malcolm Harris, that says that kids aren't allowed to go anywhere because their parents don't trust them. I should talk about it in this as well, and in iGen, that a lot of the trips that teenagers even take with their friends are ultimately like going to the mall with their parents, and the parents are there, and the parents are like, you all go to the same store together, and you're never actually away to make your own mistakes and do your own things away from your parents. It also has a good note there where to give to your kid when they're out on their own, like say at the park or something, or out with some friends, that says basically, my parents know what they're doing. They know where I am. It's totally okay. Here's a number if you call, and here's all the statistics about how safe I really am. Because your kid is like far safer today than they have been ever. They're far safer than you and I were, right? I'm 40, so they're far safer than I was in the 80s. And in the 80s at like 5, 6, my parents were letting me go play in the forest, and probably you too. But yet we, don't let our kids do anything now. I also talk a little bit about parent shaming them. Like, so my daughter has been across the street at the park, literally across the street. I could step out on my porch and see it, and has been escorted off the grounds by a parent because said, you're too young to be here, which is stupid. So my daughter is like scared of going to the park now because some adult said, you're too young to be here. She's almost 10. So she's not. In fact, the law in Canada says she's not. But anyway, there's a guy, there'll be a link in the show notes of this in the description below, who literally trained his kids 13, so think it's like 13 through 8 to ride the bus. Like, took them on it a whole bunch of times, let them lead the trip, started getting off at stop early, like did a whole bunch of stuff, right? And still got child services called on him, eventually by some adults, well-meaning adults, saying these kids should be supervised and they shouldn't. And child services said, well, we didn't make a ruling. That's actually just an update I read. We didn't, tell him by law he has to do this because the law says he doesn't. And there's actually like rules around the bus that say you don't have to. But they basically said, if you don't do this, we won't let you have your kids. So that's another thing. That's that. I get more worried about that than my actual daughter. All right, we let her walk down to the coffee shop. I can't see the coffee shop because there's one building in the way, but she can like walk there. And like, if I went out to the sidewalk, I could see the coffee shop. She can walk there. and is very responsible, and like crime doesn't happen. That's actually another interesting thing. In Scarcity, we learned that crime happens on like basically one street, and it's not this street in town. I can tell you what street it is in town, but if you talk to people, it's like, oh, downtown, and like downtown is not. It's like one street. One street is the bad street, and that's it. And actually, my friend works with the homeless people in the area, and works with the homeless teens in the area, and works with a lot of people who are involved in stuff like this, and not just homeless. I don't want to say it's just homeless people, but he is very tapped into it. And he says, "No, kids can go anywhere. There's just one street. I don't like none of my kids walk down that street alone. That's it. They all walk with someone else. They can go to the same corner store, but they don't walk down that street together. They'd walk around the block through the high school to get to the corner store." So anyway. Should you read Free Range Kids is the question. And I think that, yes, if you want to know, like, if you think, oh, my kids are totally in danger, then this is a good, like, check to that. Your kids are not in danger. They're safe. They're safe. Scarcity says they're safe because it only happens on one street. And if you're not on that street, then they're safe. And basically, they are more likely to get hurt by, like, the toilet. They're more likely to get hurt on the stairs. They're more likely to get hurt driving with you. In fact, you are way more dangerous to your children than, like, anything you're actually worried about. And news just tries to get your eyeballs by telling you about all the bad stuff. So you should read Free Range Kids if you need that. Yeah. And if you are a parent more like me who says knows your kids can do all this stuff and kind of knew this already, then it's going to give you ammunition is the word I want to use. It doesn't sound like the right one, but it can give you more tools in your toolbox when you talk to other parents about how safe your children really are. And yeah, so I think you should read it. Although if you're just going to feel frustrated by reading it and knowing I can never do this because everyone around me is going to get upset about it, then it's just going to frustrate you. So don't read it. That's it. Good book. I enjoyed it. I read it on Kindle. That's why I don't have a copy to show you. But it was a good book. I liked it. If you liked the review, you can give me a thumbs up below. If you loved it, give me a subscribe. Never hit the bell because you need to go read a book or do something else besides just hit the bell and wait for my next update. It'll come.